Hi, I'm Joshua Popenoe. Welcome to my 4 Elements pronunciation practice. This is the first part of a live weekly Zoom class I give for my online members. I present an interesting sentence or quote and then use the 4 elements as a framework to illustrate every aspect of pronunciation, making it easy to identify and focus on what needs to improve. The 4 elements are vowels, consonants, rhythm, and connection. Vowels are open sounds. The mouth is always open, never blocked, so nothing is touching inside the mouth. Consonants are closed sounds. There's some kind of contact using the tongue, lips, or teeth. Rhythm is made from syllables. Every vowel and the consonants surrounding it make a syllable. It's the smallest unit of speech that makes a word or joins together with other syllables to make longer words. Syllables are large and stressed or smaller and unstressed. Rhythm happens when you connect stressed and unstressed syllables together. Connection is about how to connect words smoothly in a natural flow, and phrasing is the timing and intonation that joins them together, giving them specific meaning. IPA stands for International Phonetic Alphabet, which has a unique symbol for every sound in English. Remember these words: vowel, consonant, rhythm, syllable, connection, phrasing, and IPA. This introduction was pre-recorded for perfection. The rest of the video will be live and spontaneous, so please enjoy the imperfection of a 100% non-AI human being, me. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here, coming to the pronunciation class today. Today's sentence: you can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. You understand? Basically, don't look back, look forward. As long as you're looking back and judging what you did and how it happened, you can't really look forward with fresh eyes and a fresh energy and fresh life. It's unknown who said this quote, but I found it online. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. So let's take a look at the marked sentence. So as usual, I'm going to start with rhythm and phrasing, and then go to the vowels, then consonants, then connection. And at the end, we can practice together. So we're starting with rhythm, and we're going to tap the stressed syllables, the lavender syllables. They create what I call a rhythm frame, which is a steady pulse. This has 2 functions. One is just to keep you moving. It's a steady pulse, so you don't stop. You don't stop at a word that's difficult and then speed ahead. There's a natural pulse. The other reason to do it is that in English, the stressed syllables make a steady, even rhythm. In between the unstressed syllables, there can be 0, there can be 1, there can be 2, but that can't change the relationship between the stressed syllables. The stressed syllables keep a steady, even rhythm. So there are 2 phrases here, which you can see by the line that goes over it. A phrase is made of words that mean something together. They need to go together to create some meaning. We understand the phrasing through the melody of your voice, how the words come together, the little pauses in between. So in this case, there are 2 phrases. The first one, and I'm going to tap, you can't start the next chapter of your life. That's the first one. Can't start next chap life. We're starting up because we're going to only tap on the stress one. So you is up. You can't start the next chapter of your life. Now, I didn't go chapter of your life. That would seem to be the end. If I go chapter of your life, we know that the sentence is going to continue. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. If you keep rereading your last one. So the whole thing, you can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. You want to try that with me? Here we go. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. One more time, starting up, tapping the stressed syllables. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. Okay? You can practice with the video later to go over this. Next thing we're going to go to are the vowels. We have, as I've said, the stressed syllables. These are big, so this is where the vowels need to be pronounced clearly and carefully. The small ones move too fast, so you don't need to pronounce the vowels perfectly. So I'm going to go over the stressed vowels. Those are the ones that have to be pronounced carefully, and I'm going to talk briefly about the physical technique for each one, starting with can't. That's the front open vowel. Lips are spread this way, open, tongue is in the front position. Yeah, can't, can't. The next one is start. This is an R vowel, but it starts with ah. So you have to open fully, ah, start. So we open first, sta, and then as we're closing, we make the R. Start, start. If you make the R too soon, start, you can't open fully. So this is an open vowel. Start. The next one is next. Funny. Next. That is a middle front vowel. Eh. So it's not E, closed vowel. It's not A, open vowel. It's in the middle. Eh, front vowel. Next. Like send, get, when. Next. Then we have chapter. That's the front vowel again. Yeah. Notice tongue is pushing forward against the bottom front teeth. Lips are spread and we open up. Top lip is straight. Yeah. Not ah. Yeah. It's almost like a square. Chapter. Ah. Then the next one is I. Life. That is a central open vowel. Notice when I started, I'm doing ah. I. Not I. Life. And it's a diphthong, which means that the vowel sound changes as we say it, starting with ah, ending with e. I. Life. Life. The next one is e. We call it a closed vowel. Vowels are always open, but it's called a closed vowel, which just means it's very narrow. Tongue is pressed up. E. E. Lips can be spread, although it's not made by the lips. But the tongue is pushed up high. E. Keep. Keep. Then you have two more again. Rereading. Reading again. Rereading. Re means doing again, right? Rereading. Then we have last again. Yeah. Same as can't and chapter. Last. Last. Then the last one is one. This is a middle central vowel. So we're not opening too wide. Ah. Not too small. E. It's very relaxed. The middle of the tongue drops a little bit. But it's very relaxed and neutral in the center. Okay, those are the vowels. Now, of course, all of these, I'm giving you a very brief sort of technical explanation of each of these, but you can learn all of them in detail in my video course. So this is just giving you a hint on what you need to pay attention to pronounce this sentence well. Okay, next we'll talk about the consonants. Consonants in English are closed sounds. Vowels are open sounds. So that means there's some contact in the mouth, the lips, the tongue, the teeth, ta-ta-ta, da-da-da, la-la-la, ba-ba-ba, ka-ka-ka. However, starting with Y, Y is called a glide consonant, and it doesn't actually touch, it glides. Yeah, yeah. The tongue is gliding up against the roof of the mouth. You, yeah, yeah, you. Then we have can't, starts with C, but we don't use C in IPA because the letter C has two pronunciations. And the purpose of IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet, is to have one symbol for every sound. So in the case of can't, the sound is k, k. What is that? It's K. K, k. Back of the tongue comes up and releases. K, can't. Then we have N. N is up here. N is a nasal consonant, and the nose is open. N, can't. Then we have a T. Normally the T is t, t. We'll talk about that later. Tongue touching here and releasing. Then start, S. Tip of the tongue is down on the gum line, the bottom teeth and the gum. It's here. This is called a fricative consonant. The sound is made by friction. T again, start. R, and then T again, start. Then we have the. That's fricative consonant again. Friction. Most consonants come in pairs, voiced and unvoiced. The. It's friction, but it's voiced. The. Unvoiced would be like think. Think. That's unvoiced. Here we have the. So if you touch too hard, da. If it's too light, you don't get anything. So you have to find the right amount of pressure so that your breath goes through and makes the vibration. The. Then we have N again. Na. Nose is open. Next, KST. There is no X in IPA. So the sound itself is made of next, right? KST, next. It's made of those three sounds. Next. Then chapter, CH, ch. You can see chapter in the IPA, there's a T, and then this. That's the symbol for SH. So really, CH is T and SH together. Ch. Then we have P, chap, the lips, unvoiced, right? Chapter, from the P to the T to the R. Chapter. Then we have of. The spelling is F, but the pronunciation is V. Voiced. Now, I told you most consonants come in pairs. V and F are a pair. V is voiced. F is unvoiced. In this case, the word of is V. Of your, we have Y again, and then R, of your life. La. Tongue touches here, presses up, and releases with a snap. La. The important part about L is that the point of release is how we hear it. La. If I just touch and go, you don't know what that is. That sounds like it could be a vowel, or something. It's the la. Press up and snap open. Life. F again. Unvoiced, right? Top teeth, bottom lip. Fricative, friction. If you press too hard, you can't do it. If it's too loose, you don't get the right sound. Life, if. Then Y again, if you K. This time it's K. Remember, we had C in the first line, pronounced as K. And now we have K, pronounced as K. Keep. Lips again. Keep rereading. 2 R's. Some other time we'll talk about R. That can be tricky. The way that I make R and teach R, the middle of the tongue, it comes up and rises a little bit. R. I know some people curl their tongue up this way, but that's not very effective. R. This part of the tongue touches here and it's pressing up. R. Rereading. NG, reading. That's the back of the tongue, pressing up, and the nose is open. It's a nasal consonant again, because the voice exit, reading, is closed. There's nothing coming out. It comes out your nose. You can say reading, any NG, sing. You can feel that it's coming out your nose. Then you have Y again, your, R, L, lash, ST, and one. So one, it begins with an O, but the pronunciation is actually a W. Whoa, which is lips. W is the other glide consonant, Y and W. Sometimes they're called semi-vowels, but we call them glide consonants because you're gliding through the sound without touching like all the other consonants do. Whoa, one, ending with N. Okay, so then we'll talk about connection because you may learn each sound separately and each consonant separately and be able to pronounce the word alone. But when we connect them, they interact in ways that don't necessarily just go smoothly through. There are techniques you need to be able to go smoothly through. So you can't. That's good. You can't. You see the red line like this is called a T stop. When the syllable or word ends with T, we do not release it. We do a stop and we move to the next consonant. You can't start. You can't start. Not can't. There's no release. So here, there's two in a row. You can't start the. You can't start the. I didn't release the T, but I stopped. And that's how we know it's T. You can't start the next chapter. Third one, next chapter. See, I'm going next. You can hear the K and the S, right? Next. But I'm stopping for the C. I'm not saying next. If there's nothing after, or if it's a vowel, you do release it. The next offer. The next offer. Next offer. Or if it's the end of the sentence. Who's next? I'm releasing the T. But when it's followed by a consonant, it's called a T stop. Okay? Now, chapter of your life. I want you to connect chapter of. So you might be tempted to stop there. Chapter of. Many people will stop at a word that begins with a vowel. But in this case, chapter of. Chapter of. You want to connect that. And sometimes it's helpful to think of chapter of, but the R connected with that, chapter of. So it's kind of like the beginning of a syllable. Of course, those are small. I'm not going to be tapping them, but chapter of your life. Now, the phrase ends with life, chapter of your life, but I did put a line underneath, and that means even though the melody indicates the end of the phrase, you don't want to stop. You want to keep your momentum going. Listen to how I do this. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep if you keep rereading your last one. I didn't go chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. You continue through life but we can clearly hear the end of a phrase. Chapter of your life if you keep. Then we have a P stop. There are three stops. T, which we talked about, P and K. Those are called stop plosive consonants. So same thing with keep reading. Keep rereading. We don't release it. Not keep. Keep. The stop is how we know. If you keep rereading your last one. And just mentioning the vowels, I talked about the schwa, very small. The word your actually in a sentence is very quick and unstressed. So your becomes your. One quick sound, your. And then we have last one. Notice I did not make a stop here because one starts with the glide consonant. So it's not a complete consonant. So last one, you can hear the T. Last one, right? I didn't go last one. That would be a stop. Last one. Last one. Okay, so those are the things to pay attention to when you're connecting. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. All right. It's your turn to practice. Repeat after me, so we'll do it 2 times. I'm going to tap, and you can tap if you want. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. One more time. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading your last one. Okay. Thank you very much. If you're interested in learning this stuff in detail or joining us, there are details at the end of the video. Check it out, and I hope you come join us. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you again next week. Take care. I hope that was helpful. Now I'll be working with my members for the rest of the live session. If you'd like to join us, work with me, and continue learning the 4 elements in detail, along with every technique you need to improve your English pronunciation, come join my online pronunciation membership, which includes over 100 videos teaching every technique you need for good English pronunciation. For more information, go to popenoemethod.com. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you next time.